Greetings and welcome, everyone. It's All You Can Geek Moviecast. I'm one of your hosts, Jim Gass, joined by Mike Sneedy,
What's up?
Corey Feinsod,
Hey, hey.
and Tony Korkanakis.
Yo, yo, yo.
Welcome, guys. Welcome, listeners. Welcome, viewers. We are live on Twitch Tuesday night, starting at 8 o'clock for these broadcasts. So, please join us. Actually, we're live right now. I'm just dropping into our broadcast. Chat with us. Feel free to leave comments. If you missed these live broadcasts, though, we're over on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe over there. That way you get notified when we post our episodes and get the latest and greatest over there. And leave us a comment. We appreciate it, guys. All right, guys. This is finally it. This is the movies of 2024 podcast.
Woo.
Yeah, it'll be a nice
Celebrate.
fun one here. We did our bold predictions last week. Please check that out. It was a fun bold prediction, which one of them I think came true already. I believe Tony's on pace for it. I think, but I think he posted some news last week about it. I forget which one it was.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I think we're gonna jump into it. This is a great podcast. Let's just jump in. So this is the format, just so you guys all know. There will be some spoilers possibly on this content. We can't avoid that all the time. We don't go out of our way to spoil things for you guys, but it's part of our conversation. I think it's relevant. It's of the years. We do a surprise, we do a disappointment, and then we do our top three. Okay, so we're gonna kick it off with our surprise, and I'll let me get my list open. I'm sitting here chit chatting. I don't even have my list open right now. I'm gonna go with my surprise of 2024 to kick off this list here for everybody is Transformers 1.
Nice.
Ultimately, didn't make my top list, but very surprised because I thought that thing was going to be terrible.
Really?
That's
Okay.
the best way to describe
the,
it.
the initial trailers
Yeah.
were awful.
I think the initial trailers did that film just
But this-
injustice and
Yeah, Paramount's marketing sucks. It failed that movie,
Yeah.
and it failed Honor Among Thieves last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both of those great movies.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we're going to cover
I
this
think
later. We might. So I'm
Both
going to
were
leave.
surprise winners too for our podcast.
What's that?
Both of those movies, I think, now are in surprise winners. I think Honor Among Thieves was a surprise for
Yeah, I
for
forgot-
us last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was surprising and that bad marketing. So, okay, that's my surprise. Mike, give me your surprise of 2024.
Well, my problem is I've watched 3 new movies this year, and that was it.
Oh, well, I went through my list, by the way. I had like 30 movies I watched this year. There's like 30 of it was a ton.
Nice.
I literally cannot understand that. But
I can't understand you play all the games, so it's the same idea. Same idea.
I mean, I could take up this spot with some old movies. I watched 3
No,
old
it's fine.
movies.
You don't have a surprise. You don't have a surprise. It's fine. Just move on.
I mean, I can. I'll just be repetitive when we get to my top 3.
Let's
Okay.
save it, and we'll you can
Yeah, it's
mention
fine.
that would be your surprise.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, Corey, your surprise.
My surprise, Inside Out too. I mean,
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
that movie hits differently, I think. Then it definitely wasn't anywhere near my radar of like, oh, here it's gonna be a sequel that's gonna blow out the original, which was still really good, and then just be the #1 movie of the year. It exceeded all expectations, and as a coming of age story, it just like hit all these markers that like hit me in the feels. Like as a father with kids, it's like definitely hit all those marks that you're going through as a parent, and then worrying about as a father for your kids to see what type
Yeah.
of world they're gonna be walking into, and what's gonna be like when they go out on their own, and different things like that. And so yeah, I mean, everything about it, as far as it being a sequel that came out later or nobody asked for, and the new emotions that are introduced are really interesting and have great character to them. And then the journey that they go on has a good, like, fulfilling climax as far as where they start and where they end. It feels like people have growth, or emotions
Yeah.
have growth in this, and there's a lesson that's learned. It's a little
Yeah.
message for the kids, whatever.
Just a kids' movie, but they actually had a good message for it. So yeah, I
Mhm.
get it.
Yeah, it felt like it brought it back to the good old days of what Pixar was doing with their films. I think Inside Out's Disney, though, right? But in any case,
I thought it was Pixar, but yeah, I don't know. I thought it was Pixar.
It's
whatever it
Pixar.
is, it's
Anyways,
yeah, it
cool.
was
Surprise.
a throwback to that. So
All right.
it was cool.
Tony, your surprise.
My surprise, I actually don't know if I got to talk about it on the podcast just because it was end of the year stuff.
Okay.
So correct me if I hadn't talked about it or I had and I just can't remember. But there was a movie that was direct to Netflix called Carry On.
You did
No.
mention it, I think.
I don't
I think
remember,
I might have mentioned it in
I know
person.
like somebody talked about it, and I
Maybe
want
it was off that episode or something. I don't know.
But Jason Bateman.
Yeah, Jason Bateman. So
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Wait a minute. I think you talked about this. Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
And it was just kind of like a random like, oh, what's trending on Netflix, and I looked at it and I was like, Jason Bateman's and like I'm a fan of Jason Bateman, so I was just like, all right, well,
Yeah.
what's the premise? And it was just a really good action thriller that I feel like we wouldn't really see these days that often. Like it feels these days we either get like super AAA blockbuster Marvel DC bombastic, $200 million budget things, or we get super indie like um, I'm struggling to think like crap that like if you just look at, it's like you have to be like a movie buff, like movie enthusiast to like appreciate like smaller indie films and stuff like that. So this kind of was like just that like nice blend of like double A or something like that, where it's like, oh, it's like kind of niche, kind of cool. The dynamic between the main character and Jason Bateman's character, and for those of you who don't know, I'll quickly synopsis. I'm gonna butcher this name. It's Taron Egerton.
So
Taron.
he's the Kingsman guy.
Yeah, the Kingsman guy.
Yeah.
So he plays a TSA agent who's kind of like just doing the bare minimum stuff like that, and he has a gorgeous girlfriend, wife, whatever, that also works at the airport in some other role. Anyway, she delivers to him the news that they need to get serious about stuff and whatnot, and that spurs him to try to do better. Anyway, so he's like, "Oh, put me on the machines," because I guess scanning is like really difficult at airport. I don't know. So he swaps out last minute with his buddy to scan luggage that's being obviously carried on and stuff like that. And what happens is there's a small group of mysterious dudes that want to do something nefarious, apparently, that had like this plan of like blackmailing his friend. So at the last minute, they're like, "Oh, that's not the guy that we needed. Like, we had all this info on him, all this like." They were ready to kidnap that other dude's like family to like blackmail him and stuff like that. So they have to like do this last minute switcheroo. And Jason Bateman is, spoiler, the mastermind of this operation. So they get this headpiece, like a AirPod or whatever, like delivered to him, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna do a deal, and it's gonna be one bag through this, and you're gonna save one life here, and that's gonna be your girlfriend or fiance, whatever it was." And at first he doesn't take it seriously, like, "Oh, it's a prank" or something like that. But slowly, Jason Bateman reveals him like, "I'm not joking. Like, this is a real threat." And it's kind of interesting how they go about that. So most of the movie is just them kind of like talking back and forth while juggling his TSA responsibilities and the plot of like, "Hey, I have a gopher guy that's going to bring a piece of luggage through, and you're gonna let him get through it, right?" Stuff like that. So had no expectations going in, but I watched the movie and I was like, "Wow, this is really good." Like, I'm not gonna say it's like world bending or earth shattering, but like if you have a Netflix subscription, you have 2 hours to kill. Hard to beat
That's
that.
why it's in your surprise.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
Sure.
Nice. Cool.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Our disappointments of 2024. I kind of have an idea of Tony's, and I don't know. Is it disappointing or it's just plain bad? But
Both.
I'll kick off the list, though. I know. I'll kick off the list because I think I'll surprise some people with mine. Mine is Beetlejuice.
Okay.
I thought you liked that
yeah.
when it came out.
No, I didn't go see it. I saw it over the break. I saw it over the Christmas break.
Oh,
yeah.
I guess I'm confused.
I wanted to see this movie because I heard a lot of great things from people about it, and then I stopped listening. Like I stopped hearing things, and I was like, it came out on streaming, and I'm like, you know what? Okay, it's finally I'm home from the break. I'm gonna check this out. So I watched it, and I gotta tell you, it's boring. It's like, the story's not great. I mean, it doesn't feel like a Tim Burton movie even. Like it misses everything for me. Like I don't know what people were watching. I didn't like it. Like what's it?
It feels like a Tim Burton movie.
It's not like kooky enough for Tim Burton. It's not. It's just it's got some parts of it, but it's not like it's not.
It.
So
I
I overall felt like it was a massive miss.
if I had to do a disappointing, this would be it. It's third on my list too. Surprise, spoiler, whatever. But I'll just talk about it here. I didn't hate it, but it
I
was.
I didn't find it. I turned it off midway through and came back to it. You know what I mean? Like it just.
Hmm.
It
Eh.
was. It. There was a lot going on at once. There was like four plot threads happening at once, and then they all kind of get wrapped up instantly without much friction. I don't know. I
You
like the
realize we
vibe
didn't
of
also
it.
find out. We also didn't find out why they weren't in the house anymore. Like why did they leave the house? That wasn't told, right? Did I miss that somewhere?
Who?
There's a lot of holes I just don't understand from this movie. I thought it was
Uh,
more. I thought we were going to get it was a true like planned sequel, and it feels like this was a cash-in sequel, and I don't understand why
well,
because they were
they
so far
couldn't
away from the other one.
they couldn't use like at least two of the actors because of
I know
scandals,
scandals, yeah.
and they did some funny nonsense to heavily feature one of the actors without actually featuring him, the character.
It made almost
Um,
$500 million in the
Oh
worldwide
no, it did
box
great. I
office.
no,
just don't think it was that
no,
good. I just don't think it was that
for
good.
me, it kind of captured the vibe of the first movie, but as far as like the plot and what actually happened, it was just kind of stupid.
Yeah, that's my ultimate thing. I was like,
But
the twist was
but
like not a twist. I was like, come on, this was
Yeah.
whatever.
I mean,
Okay.
I found it. There I could see how people had some fun with it. It had the vibe and it had the look. I thought, and you had more Beetlejuice. And
I feel like
yeah,
Michael Keaton and Jenna Ortega are on a hot streak, so people are in love with those actors.
Yeah, and
yeah,
they were
Jenna
fine, and there
Ortega
was nothing
wasn't.
wrong with either one.
Michael Keaton was fun. Jenna
Yeah,
Ortega's character
yeah.
was kind of like, okay.
She was
I didn't
channeling
love
her
her.
Wednesday, no doubt. Unless
Mm.
she's got
Yeah,
no range besides that, but
but no,
I don't know.
it was fine, but it wasn't good.
Yeah, yeah. All right,
I'll tell
Corey,
you a movie that's not good. I have
go
one
ahead.
word for you:
Bandits.
Borderlands.
Well, listen.
Borderlands.
All
There it
right,
is.
yeah.
Big shock. Big shock,
Yeah,
Corey. So
no, that's
Borderlands
all.
is your most disappointing.
Yeah, there's no. I mean, there's nothing to say about it.
Absolute
It's
shit show.
yeah, terrible.
In a one v
I was.
one.
It's
In a
one of those
one v
things.
one. Tony's versus yours. Who wins or loses?
Well, Borderlands loses no matter what, so it
Give me
doesn't
your
matter.
pitch. Why does that lose compared to what we're about to hear from Tony? Because we know what we're
Well,
getting
I mean,
from Tony here.
well, so Borderlands. The problem with Borderlands, I don't want to say anything about Tony's movie, but the problem with Borderlands is that they don't do anything with the IP that make you love the IP. Like they change things around, they change characters,
They take
they
liberty. I have no point.
yeah, they
How can a
miscast.
movie give you loot though?
You don't need to get the loot. The characters need to get the loot.
There
Like
was no
they don't
loot.
even
Okay.
do things like that. Like they don't they don't they don't inject anything into this film that makes Borderlands what Borderlands is, and the humor is just so poor. Like mm, it's like they hired a bunch of teenagers who want to pretend they know what they're like oh we know what we're talking about, we're gonna do these jokes, but they're just all bad, and nobody in the movie wants to be there. It's all just a paycheck for them.
Hmm.
So it all just bleeds through that. Like
Yeah.
the writer even said, "Don't put my name on it. I don't want like just give me a different name because this is a shit show." And so
Yeah.
it puts video game movies back. Like it
Yeah.
literally like
Yeah.
makes people go like, "Oh yeah, this is what video game movies are. That's right. They suck. Like why are we making these?"
Breaking that streak.
Yeah.
We're on a hot streak.
Yeah, that was on a hot streak until this movie. Tony, tell us why yours is the worst movie of 2024.
This-
I mean, it's off.
I mean, it's hard for me to say it's disappointing because, like, I went into it knowing it was going to be bad.
And you put this on just at your house. This is Madam Web, right?
Yes,
I
this
mean,
is Madam Web.
Yeah.
I mean, this is kind of the opposite of Carry On, where it came to Netflix because, whatever, Sony and Netflix had a deal. And I was like, okay.
Yep.
I will put this on while I'm cooking / eating and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's back.
And
yeah,
whatever, it came with my subscription price. Sure, I'll watch it over the course of a couple days.
Sydney Sweeney got you, man. They
I wanted to
tricked you.
watch
They
this
tricked you.
partially for Sydney
No,
Sweeney.
no. She got that guy in that theater who got in trouble.
Yeah, but
That story.
There's nothing positive for me to say about this movie. There's literally
Yeah.
nothing. I mean, even the premise of like, seeing Sydney Sweeney in a skin tight superhero outfit might be a lure for the young adult male demographic. And you get to see her in it for like maybe 2 seconds. But I'm talking about all the the heroines. You only get to see them in like a not flashback, but a flash forward, where Madam Web has a premonition of them becoming heroines at some point because they're teenagers in the present. And it's just so fucking bad.
Yeah.
Like it's just so so bad.
I really wonder, how does this compare to Craven? Like, I wish I had watched Craven before we
You
started.
wish you watched Craven?
Yeah.
What are
Well,
you
because I
talking
think
about, man?
I would have done it for you. You watched Borderlands knowing it was going to be a shit show. Tony watched this movie knowing it was going to be a shit show. I would have put one up there just so we had this conversation, and I didn't do it. I'm sorry.
It's okay, but I mean, like, the thing is, Craven's not on digital. Like, I would not have paid to see it. If I paid to see this movie, I would have been pissed.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
So the thing with these Sony movies that's amazing me, that besides Spider-Man, obviously, all the non-Spider-Man movies, and I guess Venom is an outlier, but they just keep getting worse. It's like they're not learning anything, and they just keep getting. And you thought like, oh, Craven might actually be good. They're gonna do something different, maybe, but no, they just make it worse. And again, it bombed even more than Madam Web, which is hard to believe. So
Yeah, I mean, the villain's terrible. He's kind of a weird sex creep pest thing that like absorbs vitality from women or something. I can't even explain it, but he's like a vampire spider man thing, whatever. Like, he sort of has a black suit thing, and it's terrible looking on the screen, like Power Ranger quality, like TV Power Ranger quality and stuff like that.
Wow.
Like,
I watched it. I did get to see the ambulance accident part, and I'm just like, this is real. This actually happened in the movie. Like, this made the cut. This made the cut.
Yes, this made the cut. Yeah, it's just. Yeah. I feel bad for everybody involved in this movie because, like I said, I can't say one good thing about it. Like, if you held a weapon to my head and say one good thing about it, I'd be like,
you're dead.
It's short. Like, that's what I would say. It's short.
Okay.
there you go.
It's short.
It ends.
All right.
It ends.
All right, guys. All right, top three coming up now. Now we know Mike kick us off. Obviously, is Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice was your number 3.
Yeah, and again, I'll just go on the things I did like about it. I liked having Beetlejuice actually has more of a central role in this one, which is nice. Since this is
He does have more than the first movie. Yeah, the first movie was barely in it.
Yeah, he has more, and I think it was a fun mix of practical effects and CGI, I thought. And I like the vibe and look of it. It's just
Practical effects are always good.
the actual
Makes
plot is just kind of a mess, honestly.
Yeah.
But,
Practical effects
and
help
it
with
wasn't-
standing the test of time too.
That's my problem. Is just
yeah.
like, just
So
it's very forgettable.
yeah, I mean, none of my top 3 movies are actually like cinematically like good.
Well,
didn't really watch
you know what's funny is,
good
like, I
film
watched-
movie
I
this year,
did.
but-
Over the break, I watched Nosferatu, and it did not make my list, and it didn't even make my mentions. Everybody was
You
artsy
just
about
mentioned
it.
it, Jim. You liar.
Yeah, but it's not even like
Who?
not deserving of my list. I thought it was overdone. But my number 3 for me was Furiosa. We might hear this later on. There might be some overlapping for lists for people. We do like to watch. We'd like the same movies. This is how we've been doing this for like 15 years or however the hell long we've been doing this. But I was very impressed because I didn't really have a lot of expectations going into this movie. It could have been my surprise, but actually, let me just mention real quick. Alien deserved to be. It was almost on my list too. I'm just gonna give that an honorable mention. Not gonna talk about it too much, but it was really good. But this movie beat it out because like Hemsworth was fantastic as the villain in this movie. Like, I was just like, and for me, I've always talked about how good a villain makes the movie, and he was so good in this. And I loved. I mean, I'm going to talk about it more as I get through my list here, but I love the visuals of this movie. I just like, it's a barren wasteland, and they've made it look amazing. And the action sequences, Furiosa's main character herself. It was great. I loved the whole story. I was like, this is really good. I was really surprised. So I loved it.
That's good. I'm really excited. So, just a small thing here, because Corey and I recently played Thunder Road,
Yes.
Okay.
which is a board game version of not
Pretty
Mad
simple.
Max, but
Yeah.
Mad Max.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I think it's time. Because I haven't watched Mad Max
Fury Road.
Fury Road,
Period.
and I was like, you know what? I'm in the mood. So I watched it, and I was like, holy shit, this is a really good movie, and it's so good. I felt bad for not supporting it. So I was like, oh, like it feels bad, right? Because I'm like, oh damn, like if I had seen Furiosa this year, maybe my
Yeah,
$15
you
wouldn't
wouldn't
change
have
the,
seen it.
the thing, but like I would have felt better morally for it,
Mm.
right? So I am going to watch Furiosa relatively soon. Quotation marks there.
Very, very impressed with the movie. So that's.
I
my
will
number
say
three.
that I did not like Fury Road initially, and I think I talked about
Yeah.
that on this podcast.
Yes, I think you did.
But I've come to appreciate it more. But
I would go back to that.
But
yeah.
yeah.
All right, Corey, what's your number 3?
Well, you mentioned it, Jim. My number 3 is Alien Romulus.
Yeah, I had a feeling we would follow. Like somebody would follow.
Why
me
would you
with
say it
something.
then? Let me say that.
I wanted to mention it was an honorable mention. I didn't go into detail. I just.
Yeah,
Sure.
Jim. Yeah.
But go on.
Shut your
But now I can-
hole.
I gambled, and now we
I
can
can
talk
see
about
why
it.
people don't look in Squid. What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Alien Romulus, I think, is one of those. It brought it back. Like I'm a
Yeah,
huge Alien fan.
absolutely.
Alien, obviously it just got worse after that, and just
you
like,
got me into
I written it off. I figured Alien Romulus was not gonna be anything, and there was no reason to go see it, especially after what they did with Covenant. And Tony took that bullet for us, so we did not have to.
Yeah.
But with Romulus, they really went back to basics. Made it a smaller movie. Made it about people that are struggling and that are in a desperate situation. They need to make something of their lives, and so they make decisions that aren't necessarily the best for everyone, but they feel like it's a gamble, it's worth taking, and the setting is great. Some of the things they do with the newer technology, but making everything feel old and rustic and worn.
Almost
Like this is
almost looking practical. Almost.
yeah,
practical.
and this is like a future. Like this is the future that like the 80s, 70s we thought we were going to
Talked about
see,
it.
right? And that's what we're seeing in this too, which is really cool. And so, seeing all that, bringing it into the theater here and getting to see it in the theater was a treat to see them do that with Romulus. And the characters, the two main characters, have a great dynamic. And there's a thing they do with gravity that's just really cool towards the end, which is like the highlight of the film in my opinion.
I mean, to follow you up, like I made honorable mention here, and I think that if I had seen this in the theaters, maybe that would have made my list. I think the impact of the theater view may have been pushed over. So I
Yeah,
watched this
and the actor, like I mentioned with Borderlands, like when you have actors that are like you lose yourself in the role and you believe them, it's just so much more impactful. It just makes like you get to because seeing actors that don't want to be there, it pulls you out of the experience because now they don't want to be there. Now you don't want to be there. So the acting in this was superb.
Yep. All right, Tony, number 3.
Number 3, I feel we're going to talk about, so I'll just mention it, and then I'll chime in on the conversation when we get there, but Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, we can.
yeah, I mean, I can tell. We can just talk about it. It's my number 2.
Okay.
So let's just merge them together here. My number 2 on the list for me. Why was it your number 3? What? I mean, I thought it was great, obviously. But,
No. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's great. The thing is, I'm not particularly attached to either the Deadpool character or the Wolverine character. And while I love what they did with both of them, they had great dynamic. They had chemistry. I mean, as actors, obviously, because they're friends and stuff like that. And I think we talked about it briefly, but like the story is kind of like, okay, I'm just taking whatever you're saying right now at face value, even though it kind of doesn't make sense if you think about it too much.
Yeah.
And there's some plot holes and stuff like that.
Time travel, right?
Right. Time. It's always tricky, and especially now that like they've done it so often with both time travel and multiversal travel, it's just like, all right, like, whatever. But the things I remember was it was a great theatrical experience. Like,
big crowd.
Just the good. There were lots of laughs. People were enjoying the movie and stuff like that. That opening sequence just like hooked people right away. Like, I don't know like who came up with that or whatever,
Instead of
like
bye,
props.
bye, bye, they
right.
were like, hi, hi, hi.
Hi, hi, hi. Yeah, like
Yeah,
props to
go.
them. They
Yeah.
absolutely nailed that. And I will say, going into it, like I know we talked about like last year or something like that. I expected this to really just be kind of like a Deadpool kills off the Fox X-Men
Same here.
universe and stuff like that, which I personally would have been fine with because you know my feelings on that. But it wasn't. It was actually very reverent. They treated a lot of the characters well. A lot of the cameos or references was very well done, including spoiler alert, Blade was in there and
Yeah.
Electra, stuff like that. So I was like, wow, they really did these characters a good job and good justice. I mean, Channing Tatum as Gambit, like, props for him because, like, I doubt he's ever going to be able to get that role. So good for him being able to do that. Got certified meme status on the internet for at least a month or something like that. So
Oh yeah.
it was really good. It was enjoyable, but it's not something I'm like dying to go back to or watch anytime soon. It's gonna like, I think if I rewatched it, it might lose some of the humor and because like that's the thing is like with comedy, it's very hard for me personally just because like if I watch it again, I'm not laughing. Is I'm like, why am I watching this now, right? But
Yeah.
that could just be a me thing.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it made my number 2 spot because I'm happy they pulled off what they did. Like, like obviously, you always walk a tightrope of like, could this be a train wreck or is this going to work? Is it going to work or is it going to be a train wreck? Could be either
Yeah.
or. I don't think it's going to be middle of the road here, and it worked. They hit it. Hugh Jackman has proven why he's going to play Wolverine until he's 60.
90.
90. Sorry, 90.
He's already 60 almost.
Yeah, he's already 60. What am I saying? He'll be
60
playing
is
it till he's
insane.
90. But yeah, he plays the character so well. They put the mask on him finally. They put him in yellow finally. There was a whole bunch of successes pulled off in this movie.
Yeah. I really like that costume. I wanted to mention. I did like his costume a lot. It's grown on me.
Absolutely. Yep. And then I mean they pulled into when he pulled the mask over his head. That was one of the best sequences. And you're like, oh yeah, that's right. He has that thing. And I mean, I love the banter back and forth. It was like a buddy cop movie,
Yeah.
mixed in the Marvel universe.
Buddy
and
superhero
I thought,
movie.
Yeah, buddy superhero, and it was well done. I just absolutely enjoyed the movie. Again, I do think I'm not sure if I could go back and see it again. That is a concern I have. I wonder if you go back, is it going to be like the same impact? I don't know, but that's why I made my number 2 movie. Very good movie, very fun, highly recommended. Mike, what was your number 2?
My number 2, I just saw over the weekend, was Sonic 3.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
And like I said, none of these are like good film movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so Sonic 3 was it's silly, obviously, and there's like huge gaping plot holes if you start to think about
yeah.
anything.
Oh God, yeah.
But
yeah.
but what it did, it addressed, I think, one of the biggest problems with the previous 2 movies is it really sidelined the normal human characters most of the time, other than Robotnik's. Which is fine because Jim Carrey's Robotnik is like the main attraction really to these movies, but most of it is Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails, and then Shadow. And
I didn't like
adapted
Shadow.
him. You didn't like him?
No, I didn't like him. I actually didn't like Keanu Reeves as Shadow in this movie. But go on, keep going. It's your number 2. Go on. Yeah, I'll make that statement.
He's worse than what he is in Sonic Adventure 2. I mean that's worse in that game. So he was like an actual like understated character here compared to what he was in the game. Like,
oh yeah, I mean I don't know anything about the character really. I'm going in this blind. I just
the
I don't feel like
character
Keanu
in the game
Reeves did a good job with the voice, but that's me. And I love Keanu Reeves. Love Keanu Reeves.
I
Go
mean, it fit for what this character was.
on. I don't know anything about the character though, so go on. Yeah.
The character is like an edgelord. He has a similar opening, except he was
I think your problem with it, Jim, is that you were seeing Keanu Reeves and not the character.
Too much. And I like Idris Elba though as Knuckles. I think he does a great job.
You can separate Idris Elba from his voice.
And Keanu Reeves, it's too on for him, and it's just like, But go on, Mike. Yeah. So
it's funny because it's not that far off from how he sounds anyway.
Okay. Good to know.
In the game and stuff.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it's all over the place. It tries to be both funny and have a little more stakes, I guess, than the other movies. There's actual like deaths sort of in this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
You see it for
no,
both credits.
yeah, I did.
Okay.
It's fun. It was fun. It was just fun.
Okay.
Lots of cameos when a certain song kicks in during a climactic scene. You're like, oh, okay. Coincidentally, that guy is suing Sega right now, which is funny to me that is still in the movie.
Hmm.
Maybe the movie is why he is the Crush 40 singer guy who did a lot of the adventure songs. That's what Crush 40 is pretty much known for. He's suing Sega right now because they're using Live and Learn specifically, which was the song that was featured here, more than he thought. So he's not getting all the royalties he thought. I don't know, but it's a bold strategy to sue them because that's all that they're known for. But
Yeah.
anyway, no, I had fun with it. It's kind of dumb and a kids movie, obviously, but it was fun as a Sonic fan. So
Right.
probably better than the other two.
I wouldn't say better than one, but yeah, I agree with you. With better than two. Corey, number 2.
My number 2 is Furiosa. Furiosa.
Hey, nice.
Yeah, Furiosa I think was fantastic. It doesn't even feel like it was a prequel. They did some stuff with it, but
Yeah.
it's just another movie in that universe, which is what they were trying to build. And it felt like 2 movies in one, actually.
It did.
I don't want to say too much if Tony, you're going to be checking it out, but we have talked about it on the podcast before. But there's the opening sequence goes longer than you expect, I'd say, and then then it's like turns a corner, and then now you're in the second half. But as Jim was saying, Chris Hemsworth is one of the best villains on screen this year in any movie. The acting, I think, for my 3 films that I've chosen, like the acting is what stood out to me the most. Is that they've really immersed me into these films and got me to believe in the characters and what they were doing and what their goals and what they were trying to accomplish, and made me feel like everything that they wanted, I wanted for them, and the climaxes and getting to those points and hitting those goals, I felt it just with them as well. And so with Furiosa, the acting is fantastic, and I think they did a good job with the action sequences. It's definitely a big budget film, so that's there, but they did make the different locations feel like characters in a way as well, and not necessarily just, oh, we're gonna put you on a set and here's another set piece for you to play around in.
How did you guys feel about what's her name,
Anya Taylor-Joy?
Yeah, Anya Taylor-Joy as a Furiosa.
I mean, I love her. She's great. I think
she was incredible in this again. Like I think she's a great actress. Like, oh my god. Like,
no, I mean I love her. I know some people were like, why did they switch up the actor and stuff like that? So.
Right.
No, I know, but she's excellent. She's awesome. So she's fantastic.
She did a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. So cool. All right, Tony, your number 2.
My number 2 is Transformers 1. As a Transformers fan, obviously, I was looking forward to this, even though that first trailer, like you had said earlier, Jim, like really was not good. Yeah. It was just like, okay, like this is really
a movie,
right? Yeah. Like this is like very child oriented. Which okay, I admit, I get. You know, I'm not going to deny it. It is a movie that is aimed to sell toys to children, right? But that doesn't mean it can't be enjoyable, that it can't have, deeper meanings or philosophies and stuff like that, morals. But that first trailer just made it look so, like, DreamWorks, like, jokey, like, slapsticky. And I was just like, I don't want this, right?
If you had told me this was like a darker movie than you would expect, I'd be like, what are you talking about?
Right. Because it is pretty dark, actually, when you watch this movie. And like, maybe as a kid, you wouldn't really understand, right? It's like spoiler alert, like Transformers are built with a transformation cog. That's what allows them to transform. And the villain of the movie, like, steals these cogs from new Transformers to enslave them, basically, or make them a lower class. And it's like, that is pretty fucked up and pretty dark. But they didn't really advertise that in the marketing at all. Like, you're just like, oh yeah, it's Transformers, robots shooting and hitting each other. It's like, it's whatever. And I'm like, yo, marketing, you need to fucking pick this up. And it wasn't until, like, I think maybe the third one where it really picked up and it's like, oh, okay, this is going to be good, right? Because it was. They touched upon the themes of the origins between Optimus Prime or Orion Pax back then and D16, who would eventually become Megatron. Because I think one of the classic tropes that are super popular is the friends to enemies, right? Because you see these two characters who are like literally best friends, and it's like, how do they go from here to what we know them in like modern canon, right? Where like they're pretty much rivals and enemies, like sworn enemies. And it's really tragic how it goes about that, and obviously what I talked about plays a huge role into that. But I like the animation. All the actors nailed it out of the park. Chris Hemsworth did a fantastic job as Optimus Prime or Orion Pax. Even though you could tell it was him, if you knew, like it wasn't just like, hey, Chris Hemsworth is talking. It's like he tried really good, and when he did the Optimus voice at the end, I really felt that. But they all did. Like the whole cast was really great. Unfortunately, it bombed at the box office, so we'll see if we'll go to sequel. And if it doesn't, then fuck Paramount, because I want a sequel to this. I want a sequel to Honor Among Thieves, and both of those did poorly at the box office. So
my boys, this is my boy's favorite movie of the year.
Oh, that's good.
I get that. See, that's what's cool. That hits, like, it hits with adults, it hits with kids. It's well done, and I did think I would have loved. The problem is you don't never get a sequel, but I would have loved the Megatron arc to span 2 movies than one. I felt like that was too quick, but it's a kids movie. I get it, but I'm like, it's so good to build that through 2 movies, like just that build.
Yeah. If it were, like, I could see it, right? Where like you kind of see the inklings at the end of this.
Yeah,
and the other thing is right. And then the other thing is too is just like, because recently we got like the behind the scenes stuff, like making of and whatnot, and there was a couple things that they changed, I think, to make it more palpable or easier for children. Where like there's some parts where like, oh, like that's what he really was supposed to say at the scene, and I get it, you gotta water it down a little bit for the kids, but
yeah. All right, Mike, your number 1 movie.
Well, we talked about it a little, and that's Wolverine and Deadpool.
Deadpool, Wolverine.
So,
come on, it's
sure. To me, it's Wolverine and Deadpool, and that's that's why I like this movie, because Wolverine is probably my second favorite comic book character, and even though I really only have the issue with his height, honestly, with Jackman's portrayal. Otherwise, I like him. And I have a little more, good feelings about the Fox universe, and I was glad they were treated reverentially in this movie. It was nice to see them all represented. I liked the cameos, and the actual plot is almost less important than like the sort of meta plot where you have the idea that it's almost like Toy Story, where you have you personify something that's not alive, like these franchises that don't continue or don't go anywhere. Like this is what happens to them, like the toys that are thrown away, like their universes get swallowed up. The anchor being is the main character of all this stuff. Like you kind of like blur the lines and say why things are happening based on real life sort of meta plot. So I thought that was where the story section of it was at its best, and then otherwise it was fun. It was funny. It had great action, and we finally got to see Hugh Jackman's Wolverine suit up and be normal Wolverine in a full R-rated movie as opposed to Old Man Logan version. So. It was fun. I mean, and Deadpool, I could take or leave. Like I've had enough of him, honestly. But Wolverine, with him, makes it work. They played off each other well. And I'm glad too.
Good villain. Gotta have a good villain.
Yeah, good villain with some crazy CGI for her like finger and stuff.
Yeah.
It still makes me feel uncomfortable when I think about that scene. It's like, oh god.
Yeah. So no, it was good throughout. It's not cinema. It's not like
the
most profound story ever told, or even well put
together
story.
That's what a movie's supposed to do.
But the cameos really hit home, and that Chris Evans swap or switcheroo was great. And then the ending with the Green Day song at the end with the Fox universe characters, that was a nice touch. Yeah, I think it was nice to be like, all right, let's say instead of let's shit on the Fox universe at the end here, we're gonna say, you guys did good stuff there, and like we appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. That nice. Like behind the scenes with all the actors over the years. You know, I was like, damn, okay, like again,
I
he even
mean,
got
it
me
was one
like
of
a
the
little emotional. I was like, oh man, okay, like I've been watching these since I was 16, so like,
Yeah.
you know,
And it started this superhero trend
Yeah.
that we're on right
Yeah, I
now.
think so. Yeah.
So yeah, cool.
All right.
Spoiler alert, it did
I'll
not
go
make
next.
my top 3.
oh, I think I know what your number one is. Then might be my
My number
number
one?
one.
Let's see. My number one movie of 2024, Lisa Al Ghaib.
Yes.
Dune Part 2.
Yep.
Dune Part 2 is my number one movie, and Tony,
Yep.
yours,
Same here.
Corey.
Yeah.
This Mike, I know you're behind on stuff. You should watch these two together. They're fantastic films. I think you would enjoy them both. So like it's a sci-fi film, but you'll like it. It's
I'm a little
there's so much to
surprised. It
this
seemed
film.
like everyone was mixed on both of them to me, but
Really?
Looks. I mean,
Hmm.
I thought so.
this is a phenomenal film. What a phenomenal like stuck the landing kind of film in my opinion. Like visually this was fantastic. Again, visuals. I talk about visuals on my list twice. You can't say enough about that. Like I can't.
Yeah.
Me saying how good it was doesn't cover how good it
Yeah.
was.
Just to go off what you're saying right there specifically is like what helped push this to that number one, because like enjoyment, like, you know, we get into that classic argument, right, where it's like Transformers 1, that's an easy hour and a half, I can watch that, I can put it on the background. But like Dune, I couldn't do that with. Like I would want to watch it, I would want to see like everything, like both the actors but also like the visuals, like. And what really, you know, does it for me is that this is what I felt like Star Wars used to be, you know, originals before they got so CGI heavy. And not to say that Dune 2 doesn't have CGI, but like they use it smartly and they use it when appropriate. Like some of those shots are just like breathtaking. It's like I believe like I'm on a foreign world, like an alien planet and stuff like that, versus like crap that we see from like Obi-Wan or you know, any of the other Star Wars things, really.
Okay.
We're just like Ahsoka, yeah, exactly. Thank you. And it's just like this is like I know we might just mention it too, but like out of all the movies, like this is one that I'm like, this is cinema. Like this, yeah, like that whole meme, like this is cinema.
Yeah, this is cinema.
Well, the thing, like you guys mentioned the visuals, and I would say the visuals are probably the best visuals of the year.
Yes.
But I think the sound.
The sound is really good too.
So
Yes.
good.
The
Oh
best
my god.
this year
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
The
Yeah,
use
that was
of
excellent.
whatever sound effects at the time that they're doing, and the music, the combination of the two, plus the visuals, obviously. But I think what they did with sound in this film just blew me out. Like blew me out of the water. I was like, whoa, oops. I was like, this is amazing what you're putting on the screen, what I'm watching, but then the sounds and what they're putting the emphasis on, and what they're kind of forcing you to do to like listen to and things like that is just amazing in this film. And yeah, the chants that they have, the musical cues, and just like you said, the world that they built, and like putting you in that world, but like the sounds of that world were just
Immersive.
amazing.
Immersive.
It is.
Overall
And then
immersive.
so
Yeah.
And there's a moment where we go to a different planet and it's like an arena, and they change the visuals completely, but then they put music, and it's like yeah, all those things combine to make a film that's not just for you to watch, but for you to experience, right? It's like that, and that's why it's cinema, because you want to be in that theater surrounded by this huge screen and the speakers and the chair that's gonna like
Absolutely. Like it's a theatrical experience. And like, even though I will rewatch this right before, you know, the part 2 comes out, but like I saw it in Dolby, I think, with my brother, and like it was just like, okay, I'm fine paying
This
20,
is why,
20 bucks or whatever it was.
this is
those-
why
that's-
theaters exist.
Yes.
The sandworm seat shake.
Oh god, that was
so
incredible.
good.
Yeah.
The thumping with the thumpers
the
things.
thumpers,
Oh
yeah.
my god,
Thumpers,
those like again the sound editing. Oof.
And the acting too, like everybody nailed it.
that's
Like
what I was gonna say.
what's his name? The main character.
Chalamet?
Chalamet. Yeah, he's just,
Timothy.
yeah, Timmy. He's fantastic. I hope we see more of him after the popularity of these movies.
Is it Zendaya?
He's
did a
great.
fantastic
Yeah,
job.
absolutely.
And like Rebecca Ferguson is his mom.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
she
yeah.
just blows it out of the water every time. I love
Again,
her.
like Javier Bardem, like he's done some amazing stuff. But like
Yeah,
I
all
forgot,
out everybody.
I forgot how good he is as a you
Austin
forget
Butler
because
as the villain, as one of the villains anyway.
yeah.
And that fight sequence at the end
that
is
fight
one of the
se- yeah.
best. Like
Oh,
again, you just
phenomenal.
cut the music and just let them go at it. It was amazing.
So again, it's director's choice of things, like the way they edited it. Like, you know, unbelievable job with the editing, slicing this together, because he could have overdone that with
Yeah.
music and it could have been less impactful.
Yeah.
It was just perfect. They nailed that.
And the other thing is,
go
too, is I was ready to like. This is like a hint of what's coming up on probably the TV of the year, but like, I'm starting to penalize movie or anything where it's like this is like a middle thing, right? Where it's like was it Across the Spider-Verse, right? Like, I love that movie, but like it ending on that, like, kind of like it's a cliffhanger, but like it's not really an exciting cliffhanger to me. It's just kind of like
abrupt end. Yeah.
Okay, right? But like this one, I like because it's like, oh shit, like stuff is about to go down, like
Yeah.
But also I'm thinking, I'm like, is this good though? Like, I kind of feel as like up until this point, I was on your side, bro, and I'm starting to think like, maybe we're going a little too far, man. Like, I don't know, but you know, whatever. I'm here for the ride, so.
Yeah, no, it's the thing is like in these two movies, the main character, Timothée Chalamet, gets everything he wants essentially.
Yes.
He achieves his goals, and now
Yes.
he's forced into this role to be more than what he set out to be, right? And so that's where I think it works as far as like we did everything we want to do, but here's more if you want it. But if you don't, like the ending here, it's fine too. But there is more that's going on. And it's interesting because like even there's characters introduced into this film that we get glimpses of that like, oh, okay, like we got this named actor that we know like from other things that are it's a big actor, but they're only in the movie for like 10 minutes or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's because there's more coming, but you don't need it. You know, it works really well. And I really like the storyline between like Zendaya's character and Timothée Chalamet's character, like how that goes and like the emotions that they're going through at the end there with both of those characters, and like responsibility versus like emotional like attachments and things, and the choices that you have to make as a person in the position you're in, and having to do that and knowing like you have to make these choices and like staring one choice in the face and the other choice is right there, and you just like have to do it the other way. That you know you can't go with your heart, you have to go with your head, and it's like
it's a reminder is like Paul is not a hero.
Only Rob Stark did it.
That's been stated multiple times.
Stark
Done
it.
Look at where it got him.
I know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It'd be interesting to see what they do with part 3. I know the story starts to get a little wonky soon.
That's the only thing I'm afraid of, is just because everybody I've heard that has read the book said like, yeah, it starts to get really weird, and I'm just like,
I mean, the first book is really the only one that matters. So it's interesting because of the things they changed for the movie. I think is for the better.
Okay, that's good. That makes me feel better.
And I'm excited to see where they go because it gets real far out there with.
There's like a sandworm with a face on it at some point I saw. Like, just somebody posted that, but I'm not looking to go to that far in this story.
But yeah, anything Denis Villeneuve makes, I'm there. Like that guy, the director of this film, it's like
he's earned it.
Yep, sight unseen. I'm right there for you. He's amazing. Yeah. So, number one movie, Dune.
So to recap our list before we end the podcast here, we got the Gamecast coming up, so stay tuned. Furiosa, top 3 movies. Mine was Furiosa, Deadpool, and Dune. Mike's was Beetlejuice, Sonic 3, and Wolverine. Deadpool and Wolverine. I almost said it backwards. Corey's was Alien, Romulus, Furiosa, and Dune. And Tony's was Deadpool and Wolverine, Transformers 1, and Dune. Part 2, obviously, we're talking about here with Dune.
Yes.
So that's our top 3.
Dune 2 part
of
1.
the 2. Yeah, Dune 2 part 2. No, part 2.
That was part 2.
Yeah, we're getting
part. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is like a third. I'm sorry. The third movie's coming out. Yeah.
Right. So, numbers.
All right, that's gonna wrap up the year for the movies. Stay tuned. Like I said, Gamecast coming up next. Gamecast of the year next week, and then TV shows the week after that. So stay tuned for all this stuff, guys. See you guys on the Gamecast. We are out.